MakingStarWars.net.
Mon Mothma. Guess who's coming to dinner tonight? Mon Mothma. Guess who's coming to dinner tonight?
Hi, I'm Jason Moore from MakingStarWars.net. How's it going, Rob?
She's not fun Mothma. She's Mon Mothma. Just have some fun.
I when I was doing the little jingle, I was like, "Oh, I'm just doing the police."
Right.
I'm Sting. I'm Sting now. Mon Mothma would like Sting. She would though. She really would.
You really got to watch that Sandbox documentary. The Sandbox.
The Sandbox.
Sorry, the Sweatbox. The Sweatbox. It's the one that Sting's wife shot when he was he took the job for Kingdom of the Sun.
Oh yeah, yeah. You told me about that before.
And it became Emperor's New Groove, and Disney banned it. And then years ago, it leaked. Finally went on the internet, you know. But it's fun just watching him. Like, I'm not used to being a corporate machine. It's like, bro, you work for record labels. Like, you're a
Yeah.
Like, he goes to the Himalayas and shit. You know, it's hilarious.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
It's good. Good song. I like the organ.
I had to went down to the Ahsoka, Mandalorian, Obi-Wan Kenobi. What's that other show called? Skeleton Crew set today to that one.
Oh,
and it was a fun time. They have it completely boxed in. You will not be seeing anything from there anytime soon.
You think they were triangulating your shots? You know what I mean?
This is just a box. I mean, they must be filming night stuff.
Oh, they really did box it up.
Oh yeah, it's straight up fucking boxed, like 360 around. Yeah,
they put those. I bet you Jesse helped them put all those crates up. He's like, I got crates.
Jesse.
You want crates? I got crates. I'll stock the crates up.
I could do it. Yeah. So it's completely. Wow. Yeah. So if you go over to the Apollo parking structure to look at the set, over there off of Rosecrans in El Segundo, you will definitely you might see something at a different time. Over on the other side, you can see some props and stuff, but nothing like really worth mentioning, you know. But as I was coming out today, the fucking I get in, I see that guy from the structure as I'm entering the parking structure, and I know he's like, is that him? But like Cassian Andor, you just walk in like you own the place, and nobody will question you. Right. I mean, it's words to live by.
Did you spit in his food? No, don't.
No. If I could have though.
He spit in his own food. It was weird.
Yeah, he was spitting in his food like he was the Brendel fly. It was strange.
Self-loathing. Can't stand his job, but he needs to work. I understand.
No. So I go up there, you know, I hang out. I could hear them giving direction, and I think they were saying troopers. So I think there was like troopers at night or something, you know, like kind of scene going on in there. But that could be for Skeleton Crew, or that could be for Ahsoka. Most of this has been Ahsoka, but since they boxed it in, not really sure exactly 100% what it is. But anyways,
the real news is someone in production owns a Ford Falcon. If you look in the top left, like way at the back. That's a collector's item right there, buddy. Like,
back here.
Is that flat? No, that's a little flatbed on the left. What is that?
No, the stuff over here is like. This is I think this motorhome,
right.
like I think this
right there.
No, but I think this stuff isn't them. by the way. I don't think the stuff over here
Okay.
behind them. This is on the other side of the tracks.
Okay.
So they would literally have to cross train tracks to bring anything from there over there, or even to store stuff. So for the most part, over here on the far side, so you see over here, right here on the far right up here, though, this is where the train goes, and you can look down from the train into here when they don't have this roof on it, right? And they put this little barrier wall over here so you can't see in. It doesn't really do jack shit. I just think that they can't go any higher for some kind of fire code or legal reason. They don't go higher than that. But you can see in. You can get on this train and look in there on the right day and the right configuration. So if anybody wants to go down there. But as I'm leaving, the guy at the parking structure comes out and starts waving his hands. I'm already gone. Like I'm out. I could have just kept going. I was like, you know what? Let's see what this motherfucker has to say. So I roll down the window and I go, what? And he goes, yay, big dog. You can't be in here, big dog. You're trespassing. And I'm like, I came to park. And he goes, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. And I'm like, okay, good. You know I'm parking. And then he goes, you're trying to get video of the Star Wars set. I go,
You gave that one up quick, dude.
And then he goes,
well, you know what they should do? They should put the big Star Wars logo all over these fucking things. This is the Star Wars set, bitch. You know?
well, and then he goes, I said, there's no sign saying I can't park here. And then he's like, and then he goes, he's all, I got you. He's all, I got you. I was already gone. Like, he didn't get me. I already got. I'm all, then why do I got the pictures, bitch? That we kind of went down into and then to like a cussing match from there. But I'm
just curious, at what parking structure does it say? Does it say you can pay for the parking, but you can't take photos? This makes no sense.
It doesn't say you can't take photos. It says public parking. So
literally, like when I was a kid, we used to just always go to the parking structure and watch the airplanes land. Like that was like, you know, cheap entertainment, you know? Like,
I mean, I could see how they might get mad if at one point we rented a party van and we got the party van to take us there, and we were drinking and having a really good time at the Star Wars set, and people were smoking the pot and there was all kinds of titties out and stuff. Like, if that happened, I'm not saying it did, but if it did happen, I could see how they would be mad about it. But they didn't even know about that. So what are they mad about? I have to think that it, you know, I mean, I have to pay. I have to pay to park there, you know?
You know, next time we should just show up in Batman hockey pads and go, no, I'm here for the fucking hockey pad meeting.
Yeah, well, the old joke used to be, I was going to buy MakingParkingLots.net and be like, I'm here for the parking lot. I run Making Parking Lots, and I'm reviewing you right now, and you guys are going to get 3 out of 5 stars right now. You know, that kind of thing. But yeah, but the guy is big dog. I was like, okay, little dog. But
he should have said, hey, little dog, you know,
hey,
you quit your yipping.
Hey, yap. But
I got you. You pay for the parking to take the pictures.
I mean, and if you guys want to know, I mean, if anybody wants to go to Mecca, you know, I'm not telling you should, but if you decide to go, and it's on you if you go, I don't know what happens to you if you go, but if you go, there's like a cafe down the way, and I'll just park there sometimes and like have breakfast, you know, and then I'll just like walk over to there and walk up the stairs like as if I was, you know, and then dipshit can't see you. So if you don't want dipshit to like see you, you just do that, and then dipshit don't see you. Easy.
The last security job I did for my father, which was for security jobs, as most people consider to be posh. It was just like this really upscale condominium set right on like the Mission Bay across from SeaWorld, right? All these wealthy people. I fucking hated it, bro. Like, it made me, I quit that to work at Kinko. That's how much I hated this shit. Mm-hmm. And what they would do is they'd be like, hey, tell everyone they're not allowed in the pool after 10, you know? Which, that's a pretty reasonable fucking time to not be in a public pool space, you know?
Sounds
You're
fair.
right on the beach. If you really got a desire to jump into fucking water, just go down to the beach. You know, you don't need to be in the public. So I would tell these guys, I'm like, guys, You all live here. This is like $500,000. It'd be in the pool. Hey man, don't tell me. You live here. You pay for me. Your
Yeah.
neighbors are trying to sleep. The beach is like right there, bud. You know, you can if you got. I mean, if you don't want the beach, you can go in your tub and slap around and pretend it's a fucking. I don't know what to do, guys. Like I can't tell grown people to obvious shit. So I think about these security guards when they're trying to find a way to justify why they're getting paid to be there, because these parking structures, they probably don't want to pay for security, or they're always trying to find a way to not justify the cost, you know. So
This guy wasn't very old, but he was calling it his property, like he was Eric Cartman. And I wondered if he was the owner or if he just really wants to flex about that, you know, that I all this I run, the fortress overlooking the Star Wars set I run. But yeah, what a dumbass.
maybe he just urinated there and then claimed it to be his. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my dog does when we go to the park. It's his park now. He peed. His park.
Besta says my guy has volunteered to get on top of the train, Boba Fett style. Yeah, don't do that. You'll die. Yeah, it's just, but it's interesting how it's all like enclosed in like a box. Like I said, has to be, maybe that's the solution that they're going to use for nighttime filming, you know, because God knows when we get a couple of pictures of a building with some blueprint on it, and we talk about that for a day. It literally spoils everything, and it's worth making a giant box out of everything. You know,
to be
it's weird.
perfectly honest, all this would do, if they would just go back to doing those George Lucas select shit, you know what I mean? Like, letting people, hey, take your fucking photos. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, all it is free.
Yeah.
In a world where everyone's like, you know,
I get they don't want it. I get that they don't want it, but it's like, but
yeah, they don't want it.
But what they don't get is that it barely anybody really gives a shit. Like and like, especially compared to like episode, like for instance, Mandalorian, a little newer, but when we put up episode 9 content, like from Black Park, let's say it gets 100,000 views. Put up something from Mandalorian, we're talking like 15,000 views. That's changed a bit as Mandalorian has like caught on, but I mean, I this isn't a dig. Like Bespin Bulletin had a really, really great scoop from Skeleton Crew this last week of the kid riding like on the like little speeder thingy. I mean, it's public knowledge. Look at how many views it has, and you know, it's a couple thousand. So a couple thousand of us really care, and we'll follow it at that level. Not really worth building the dome, you know what I mean? And then paying the guy at the structure off, but that's the world that they live in, I guess, where it's worth it.
500 of those views are Meg just refreshing.
Meg going, how do I capture this video for my video? No.
I can't.
Yeah. No, and actually we're kind of going in that direction just for you know, today was a very quiet day in Star Wars land. Hey, Bespin, did you have anything today I didn't see that you didn't tell me about, or you told me about and I didn't see? Did I miss?
6 years after you started taking pictures in El Segundo, they finally figured out a way.
I know.
At what cost? All right. You know, like.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, you know, we could just go down to Dominguez Hills. We could go down to Long Beach. I mean, there's other places to go too, but yeah, it does. It's like I said, it kind of, it made me laugh more than anything. And it made me laugh that the guy was saying like he had me, and that he got he got me, and then like that, but it's like, number one, there's not really any photos to get anymore, and I did get them though. So you didn't get me, dumbass. But
that was your great plan, Ray. Get her.
Yeah. but we ain't got shit today. And but it does look like Star Wars Meg scoop about who's coming to dinner is going to pan out. And if you guys remember a while ago, Meg had a scoop saying that Masamita was going to be in the show. It was going to be in Star Wars Andor. And she did. And then Bespin's like, hey,
summer, right?
I had a source who told me that, that there's royal guards are in it. So so he would kind of put two and two together and says, yeah, these things do go together. And so we have this pivotal moment in the last episode where Mon Mothma's husband, what's his name again? I can't remember. We'll call him Jerry. Jerry's like, hey, I invited these people over to like dinner, and what's the is it the Vizier, something like that? And then the other one, it was Sly Moore, the bald-headed, creepy chick who hangs out with Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith at the opera, and other places. But they're always together. And she's an Umbaran, so she's like a little Dracula. And they're probably going to be in this next episode, is kind of where what all of that amounts to. And
Sly McGowan.
Oh man, she kind of did get that going too, didn't she? Good for her, though. However she likes to do it. I say, do it how you like to do it. I say, but
I could pull it off. I'd do it.
Hey, God forced me to. Fucking hate you. God, kill you. No,
God loves Spreezy. God hates us.
Yeah,
makes
know.
Sense.
I mean, that guy's
dog.
That guy's got cousins more beautiful than anybody we have in California right now. Bestman Bolton says it's Jerry, but he's got 3 R's to make it Star Warsy.
And they're not where you think.
Uh-oh. And it's not a J, actually. It's a G. It's a G.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyways, yeah. Anybody got a show for us?
Anyone got a scoop?
Anybody got any scoops around here? Because
I'm
dry.
giving you the platform, Hey,
Mr. Kindness, how are you, dude? By the way, and then Arya
Jason
says, "I won't lie to you, Arya. Meg just, I don't think Meg is interested necessarily in being a scooper or the garbage trash that comes with it. That I don't know if I'm not trying to put words in her mouth. That's my just reading of the situation, but Meg knows other things. She said some things. So honest, Jason. It's her story. She wants to put it out, not mine. So is what it is. Mm-hmm.
No, Jason, tell the truth. There was a scoop auction and she low bid. She's a low bidder.
Oh,
she wants some scoops cheap. Bestman buys up everything and then just doesn't ever release them. He just likes hoarding all the scoops. He's like the pharma bro.
He's an investor. He's an investor. He's all this is gonna age with fine wine. And then the movie
Jason
comes
gets
out.
good deals.
Oh, me, I'm a spend. If I get it, I spend it.
And he puts them all on Santa's show. And he's all tuckered out by the time he gets here. So.
Rob, did you make a She-Hulk reference? What are you doing?
Yeah, I did. That's where they're not where you think.
Gotcha. Yeah. I thought we were talking about that Star Trek scene where he gets kicked in the knee, but that's where his dick was.
Yeah, that Star Trek 6 Undiscovered Country. Iman.
Yeah. Bestman thinks it's time for Avatar talk. Avatar.
Do I have some Avatar news?
Yeah, what's going on in Avatar? Avatar. I'm gonna make you a theme song. Say like this: Avatar. And then news.
Okay.
And then you tell us as a blue person what's going on with you guys.
As a blue person with ears and what might be considered a tail, I don't know what's growing back there. But
people with Thrawn fetishes are into it. People with cat fetishes are into it. I mean, it's just there's so many. It's so many intersecting kind of things here. We can't.
Oh, I know. I do have a little story. I was listening to Rob Liefeld's latest podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And he was giving some James Cameron stories where like he went and saw Cameron at Comic-Con like right after the first Terminator came out, and he had like the actual endoskeleton and shit there, and so he was like 17 and shit. So I guess you fast forward to the 90s, Liefeld's publicist was Schwarzenegger's publicist, so he got to go to like the True Lies after party and shit like that,
Mm-hmm.
So he's there, and he's getting his pasta, right? And James Cameron's there.
Liefeld, you should always fuck your maid. Is that what he said to him?
Yeah, he did. And so, how'd you know, Big Dog? So
wait, somewhere there's like some like kid who's like growing up with a maid who's like drawing really good but can't draw hands.
Let's not make fun of how people draw, Jason.
Okay.
Let's not do that.
You know what? I don't
So-
actually. I'm not gonna lie. I really don't know shit about Liefeld. I know he's just a nice guy. He's always been nice to me on Twitter. I was trying to be a nice dude, but everybody just talks about hands, and I just go, okay. So that's all I know.
I know.
I'm just kidding.
Everyone talks about hands, but
that really
musicians are the cruelest. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? Like, I'll say, hey, I like Patty Smythe's Warrior, and you're like, you fucking suck. She can't sing. You know, you're like, okay, all right, man, all right. All right.
No, I actually like. I don't think being able to sing is important. It's having a good voice, an original voice is what matters. Just like drawing.
Yeah. So whatever. Anyway, so he's at this dinner, and he goes, you know, hey, Mr. K, you know, I'm Rob Liefeld. I believe the story. I believe.
Yeah. Oh,
He
sure.
goes,
Yeah.
"Hey,
Why would he lie?
He goes, this is a pathetic thing to lie about. And he goes, you know, I have this character Cable, you know, and he's like, you know, a big influence on me. And Cameron goes, I'm aware. I'm aware of who you are. I know.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, I know you just took the Aliens and the Terminator and the Schwarzenegger and put it all in one thing, you know? Thank you. It was a good move. It's classic Jim Cameron, like, I'm aware.
Yeah. We should make James Kirk Cameron, and after every single time, like, he'll have something and be like, and that's why you'll go to hell if you don't believe in Jesus H. Christ. No? Okay. There's an idea.
No, that's not. Kirk Cameron jokes weren't funny on Growing Pains. They're not funny here.
Oh no. but he's the Cam, dude. Come on.
Sure.
I mean, hey, he might be. He's our into Tracy Gold.
It was all leading to Zach on Saved by the Bell, whether we wanted it to or not, you know, and that's where it ended there, you know, that whatever that ride was, that kind of starts in like Goonies era, right? Like that little wisecracking white kid.
Okay. But if you had to have a nerd best friend, Screech or Boner?
Okay, first off, the fact that his name is Boner and you can get away saying that around your friends has to be Boner.
Did you ever see the episode where they do cocaine? Where they go to the party and there's like cocaine at the party. Kirk Cameron totally.
I watched Growing Pains for Tracy Gold. I could not on my life right now tell you, out of all the episodes I ever saw, I couldn't tell you one story.
Check it out,
one
dude.
Scene, one plot.
Check it out. Check it out. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is fucking in the episode, and Buffy's like, "Let's go." No, the good one. She's like,
"Oh, Christy Swanson."
Mm-hmm. No, and she's like, "That's the hot one." She's like, "Let's go in the bathroom, Kirk Cameron, and do cocaine." He's like, "Whoa, I don't do drugs." And then Boner and the other guy are like, "We're staying," and it's fucking hilarious. Then at the end, and you're like, you're like, they fucking Boner's doing it, you know. And then at the end, though, they like show up and they're like, "Hey, we didn't do the cocaine," and they're all like, "Doing drugs is bad." I think they made. I've never done cocaine, but if Buffy the Vampire Slayer wanted to do cocaine, Christy Swanson's Buffy the Vampire, I definitely do it for sure. No question.
You just attracted to crazy right wing and like.
Is she a crazy right wing chick now?
Oh yeah.
Is she really?
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah.
Man,
she's right up there, man. Number 17, all that bullshit. Hey, the storm came. Did they know? Were they throwing that fucking phrase around? The storm came.
Mean, maybe I could convince her I'm the president. If she'll believe that anybody's the president who doesn't get elected. Maybe I could be like, I'm the president, you know? And come on, Christy Swanson. Oh man, poor Christy Swanson. If only Dylan was alive, he'd set her straight.
So you call it Dr. Cameron, doll.
Oh shit. Rob, these kids aren't gonna know who the fuck Quarterman is.
EGM.
I don't even know
the insights. That's the guy who used. Quarterman was the guy who used to have the inside scoop. EGM, rarely right, but had a few. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Chilean anyway, it says, when do you think we'll see Bix again? I want to see more of her. So I think what I've said before is that I think we're gonna have a future arc where they go back to Ferrix to liberate it, probably with the weapons that they steal from this place. But also remember, we have in the trailer that moment where Andor's injured, getting like worked on by that Malcolm McDowell looking Maz Kanata alien with the specs on. So I'm guessing like something goes wrong, and then he, you know, he's going to be injured and stuff, and then we have to have him go to the probably have to have him go break into the prison, and then from there. But also, I mean, he does seem to be injured in that scene, but I don't know, maybe he has to get like an implant or something to get into the prison to like change his identity or something weird. I don't know. But I think we're gonna see Bix in those
Maybe
scenes.
she's in the prison.
Who,
Yeah,
Bix?
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, maybe she's in that prison.
I don't think so. But I would watch a Bix like in a prison, like running a prison gang. Like comes in, you know, he comes in, she's like, new fish, and then Andor has to break her out. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. I would watch that. After she says, I loved Avatar more than ever when I saw it again the other day. I am so excited for December. So
I see you as a true. I see you.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, like
Brilliant.
Avatar in theater is great. Avatar and, you know, out in 3D is awesome. It's fun.
I like how people are like, hey man, it only made the money because of the 3D. Meanwhile, everyone is like, I'm gonna go see Top Gun for the 15th time in 4DX. You know what I mean? In IMAX 3D, fucking $30 a pop. Like, yeah, all right, bud. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, the thing is when the argument is the original Avatar made as much money as it did because it cost nearly twice as much for a movie ticket. That part is true, but they lost sight of the actual like reasoning behind it, and I see it. I feel argued incorrectly. You know,
in my
at the
experience,
time,
when shit costs more and people hate it, they don't go see it. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, it would be more. I think probably if we should probably drop money. The movie industry is never going to want to drop money at the actual dollar amount, but if we just went by tickets, like, you know, Avatar's sold a bajillion tickets, then we would know, oh, okay, it sold a lot of tickets. But when you make it about money, then you're able to make it seem like fucking, you know, I don't know, the big reboot or something was a huge smashing success because it made X amount of dollars when you compare it to the original 1988 and you don't adjust for inflation. It's a game that they want to play so that way they have like a pivot point.
Yeah, but you got to adjust inflation for attention inflation too. You know what I mean? Like, there's just other shit to do. What kills me the most, man, is when I tell people I like 3D. Oh, 3D sucks, man. I like to see films in 3-dimensional space the way I see life. But like, you folks love to sit on this fucking 40X seat that spits water in your face anytime. You know what I mean? Tom Cruise walks on the street. It's the fucking weirdest thing. I hate that 40X shit, man. I don't get it. It rolls me rails like a fucking movie. I want to ride for 2.5 hours.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's where I'm out. You know.
It was it's sort of it's a really strange experience. Like I said, it's not something that I would do it only for the gimmick of with the film I really love for that really dumb experience of it. But it has one foot in making you like it's like you're always at attention, so you never get to relax. Like you don't leave that movie. Like sometimes you leave a movie and you have like a good story, you feel satisfied. You also feel like I just relaxed for 2 hours. I feel good, you know.
40X
like,
reminds me
not
when
there.
You go to Knott's Berry Farm, and Knott's Berry Farm has this ride that's trying to do something Disney or Universal's doing, but they spent 1/8 the budget on it. You know? But you're getting an experience. It's 3D. You're like, this is nice. It's like 3D, like by way of those arcade machines right outside the movie theater. You know, like, sure, all right, buddy.
Man. Why Joel? Why did Christy Swanson have to do it? Why did she do it? What happened? I don't know, man. Ariel Pink. I really liked Ariel Pink, and
I feel like all those cats who got like sidelined in the 90s all got left in a sidekicks lounge and then became radicalized. Like Dean Cain, Christy Swanson, you know, fucking
a
whole grip of them.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, Dean Cain always sucked, though. You know what I mean? He always sucked. That Superman show, nah. Lois was hot, but he sucked. That's, you know. But like I said, I liked Lois when she was on Quantum Leap. That one episode as a kid, I was like, that's a woman. Planet Fitness says,
I'll give this. The first pilot, it's a charming little show. You know, like he's a charming guy. Like in that first one, I didn't fucking know who Dean Cain was in 1993. You know, but I'll
Yeah.
watch it for Terry Hatcher. And the dude was a charming, and it was nice to see a Superman that wasn't like a trying to pretend to be Christopher Reeve. Like, remember that Superboy show they did? They tried to get a kid who's kind of like got the spit curl, and you're like,
I like
no,
that show. I used to watch it. It's terrible,
yeah,
but I watched it as a kid.
it's
As a kid,
terrible. It's
as a kid though, yeah. I mean, it was cheap as fuck, but as a kid, you're like,
But
you know.
Mitsaplex was the guy who played the inventor in Tango and Cash, which also featured Terry Hatcher, and Terry Hatcher was Lois, and it's all tied together. So,
Yeah. Well, anyways, Christy Swanson, rest in peace. So he says, I thought the prison scene was on Coruscant. We don't actually totally know where the prison scene is or sequence is. It could be on Coruscant, but I don't think it has to be. I think that could pretty much be most anywhere because it's just in some kind of like weird complex thing. So yeah, I don't pretend to know where it is. It could be Coruscant though. I mean, it would, and considering like the rumor that we heard was that those people are making parts for a secret project and Stardust, and that's the Death Star. And then, so if that ends up being accurate, maybe it's really a convenient place to arrest your most, your best scientist who won't comply and put them into a prison work camp kind of situation. Maybe that's the place to like do it. But I also wouldn't be surprised if it's not.
They're trying to figure out how to make Vader's ship into a boat. He spontaneously, throughout that fuck, it could be a boat too. And they're like, shit.
The boat.
You know?
But I also think that like with the concept that they tend to go with recently, I don't know if they would put a prison like that on Coruscant. I'm not saying that they wouldn't have prisons on Coruscant. You would have to have like places to send people. But I don't know if they would do that kind of one there. I feel like they're sort of playing this out of sight, out of mind game with the Capitol and like what's going on. Like when we had like the juxtaposition between what's going on the Highland planet and then what we have going on in Coruscant with like the dinner parties and shit that are coming. So I wonder if they would do that because I feel like in a way having the prison planet be on Coruscant would kind of confuse those feelings a little bit. You know what I mean? About like here is opulence and we don't see what the shit we vote on. We don't see the consequences here. So it's fine.
For a second, I wondered if it was Ferrix, like repercussions for the uprising kind of thing. But they seem to be like scientists more than like hard labor.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Ferrix doesn't seem like
they'll seem very clean shaven types. Like you don't see like big burly dudes and shit working on stuff. So,
no.
But hey, you never know though.
I don't know. I don't really guess too much. I mean, here I'll do it for the show, but on my own, I just go, whatever they're gonna throw at me, I'll watch it.
Yeah. Jedi Mike, yeah, I want to see the Senate as well. Yeah, and we know that we will because we've seen Mon Mothma in the pod. We've seen that empty Senate moment
Right.
from the trailers or whatever. So, yeah, and we know that like somebody brought up, we might see the Senate dissolved as it kind of goes away right at A New Hope, and how we're gonna go up into Rogue One to like that moment before Cassian starts that film. So we may see that. I was almost wondering if it happens at the end of the season by sub chats, but I remember that we're supposed to have like the next 5 years, so we definitely won't. Somebody's telling Bix to hold their pocket within 24 hours. Somebody's telling Bix.
I don't get the joke.
Yeah. I lost me on that one, but by that time I'm confused.
Right over the head, buddy.
40X is for Legoland.
Arya says it's one of those things you throw in for like to try to get a ride without spending the money on a ride. Like, it's so fucking, I don't get it.
Arya says sad part overall is how much dust Ochi's costume is gathering. Can someone bring him out of one of the shows? I know, like the way that they handled Ochi is insane. You know, hold their pocket is prison rules, bitch. Says Bespin. Fair enough.
Yeah, you got me. I mean, not ever going to prison, guy. Yeah.
Oh, you know, Bespin Bulletin is in prison, and he writes everything from prison. That's why he forgets to post scoop sometimes. Sometimes he's like having to deal with like this one guy named Jelly Roll. They call him Jelly Roll because the
Is he
very
a
first
white
day
collar
in,
prison?
he had a Jelly Roll, and so you know
He's the prison
that's
that the wealthy
Bespin's
people
name.
go to. Yeah.
Yeah, on Coruscant, that's probably all they would have would be like a resort prisons, you know. Roland
They
says
got
it would be
badminton gangs. You know what I mean? And all those guys with the polo. Remember they take the shirt and polo it over their fucking the guys in the what's in Trading Places. Remember his girlfriends, those rich kids, like those dudes right there.
I want to see Massamita take his shirt off for skins versus shirts.
Dude, Mon Mothma's husband would be that guy with the fucking shirt, the '80s shirt over your shoulder with the roll. You know what I mean? That fucking look.
Yeah. Yeah, he would. Yeah, he would definitely. He definitely plays golf. Roland
He's
says
got stepping out on a fucking loop anytime his car door opens up. Mama's like, fucking stop. It's like he's got a diverse category of songs. Why this one? Why this one?
Robert St. Clair says, I'm waiting for Rob to say, ship them all. We're going to take him out a whole new door when he goes on one of his laughing spells. I feel like I don't understand any of you guys today, but maybe
it's
you
the
do,
Joker,
Rob.
man. Yeah, it's
Oh.
89. Ship it out.
Oh,
you don't know what he's saying because he's so fucking weird. It's in the acting.
Yeah. I got you, Rob.
Yeah. He's saying I got a Joker laugh, and yes, I do. I don't know if you've noticed my face. I look like a psychotic clown. I agree.
Tyrant says all those 80s and early 90s stars we can just call the Brett Kavanaugh's Devil Pyramid Squad. Yeah. Roland says could be an outpost like the one on Wobani. I believe that's the planet Galen was on. I think Wobani was not the one Galen was on. Wobani, I think wasn't Wobani where their prison camp was? Am I misremembering? I feel like I could be wrong, but I think it was the one with an E. I think it was an E. I tried to remember this the other day.
When that sequence happens, I am just awestruck that I feel like I'm in the best version of a Nintendo 64 Rogue Squadron level. Like I'm like, they did it. They got the X-Wings, they're in the canyons, there's the you know.
Right.
But I couldn't tell you what the name of that planet was.
Yeah, it starts with an E. I remembered it the other day. It wasn't Edu. Thank you, Bespin. Yeah. Edu is the one that Galen is on, and Wobani is where the prison camp that Jyn Erso is busted out of. That's where she's at. Yeah, and they mention it in the first or second episode of the show. When we first meet Tim, he's like, "Are you going on that Wobani run or something?" And then she's like, "I'll tell you later." So,
well, I was listening to I sent you the link. I know you didn't listen to it, but I was listening to the interview with Jeff Goldsmith and Tony Gilroy concerning the first 4 episodes.
Oh, I do want to listen to that. Yeah,
guy. He's a little cagey guy to like. Yeah. He likes to. He did say Chris though in response to working on Rogue One. He almost dropped. He did say Chris, and I'm like, you almost got it. But he was saying that where was I going with that? Shit. I don't want to lose it. I'm having one of those senior moments today, man.
It's okay. We can go nowhere.
Fact. So when he was like, hey. He's like, I don't know who conjured up this whole like Andor's came from. What's that other planet? He said you're Fex. What was that?
Oh yeah, the one where his mom says his adopted mom says that she's for the papers. Yeah,
I guess it was in a cartoon or in a book or comic.
It was. I think it might have been in that first book that we. Yeah, it was in one of those books, one of those Rogue One books.
Fest.
Yeah.
So
Andor
Fest. He goes,
yeah.
I don't know who got to come up with that idea. So like we had to like deal with that because it was in response to what was a hard scene to write. And he said that scene when Andor comes home with his mom was the hardest because they had to cover a lot there. There was like a shift in tone, And he's like that fest thing, you know. It was like I was able to put that there, so I don't have to fucking deal with this later, you know, kind of thing. Because I'm not using that. It's ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
okay. Comes up with this shit. He's like that, you know? I'm like, right. Like, who comes up with this stuff? Like, some rando fucking cat put shit that doesn't even like matter in the context. It's not like they went and did an Andor series of books and someone was like, I'm gonna write like when AC Crispin did the Han Solo trilogy, and then the movie was like, yeah, none of that shit ever happened. But you know, you read it and you're like, all right, there's a, I guess, if you wanted to go from age 8 to, you know, 5 minutes before BBYCJ, like
BBC, I believe it is. I believe it's BBC.
Yeah, BBBJ.
I think it's 12. I think it's 12 BBC.
Yeah. And you know, I get that, but then when they just throw this random shit around, and then fans go, no, but you gotta understand, in issue 7, a fucking blah 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 blah, that's all whatever, because Paycheck and Eisner and Iger and Kathy, they all signed a pact at the G7 and said that this is all like solidified in stone.
Making sense to me now.
It's so fucking so ridiculous that they gotta, you know, but at least he found a way to deal with it, you know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. And that's something that it like, I think that they have a lot of wiggle room with, in terms of like, it's believed it's this one thing, but it's the other thing because he's a spy, and you know they could kind of almost make it. It's sort of breaking the fourth wall in a way, but not exactly. You know, I think they could kind of get away
hear
with
that bullshit like, oh, they broke the canon, fucking nonsense, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and then all they have to do is, if it was like a memory of him being a boy there or whatever, then all they have to do is say like, you know, yeah, that's him remembering the fake story he came up with or something. You know, they could make it work, and the people who know that and care about that enough are still the kind of people or fans who will just buy whatever the next fun explanation is, anyways. So it's not really a big deal, but it does show. For what it's worth, they won't erase it. They'll write it, but they'll write around it. They'll write into it and flip it around. You know, like Gilroy could have just not even touched it and said, I don't care. And
Dude
but
wrote,
they did
apparently,
it. Mm-hmm.
He talked a little bit about it, but he was talking about projects that got away. He wrote a whole series about the people who ran the guillotines in France from like 1917 to 1930 as an actual TV series.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you know, we had to actually shoot this in France. We needed a real like French, you know, there's a family, there's this whole thing. And you're like, this guy wrote this shit for fun. You know what I mean? Like, you got to understand, you're not dealing with the J.J. Abrams with this guy. You know what I mean? Like, like he's writing like real shit. You know, like it's crazy.
Yeah. Last podcast on the left did like a really interesting thing about that, specifically about those. I listened to it. It was good, and it was about, you know, like how people got the jobs as the executioners. How like they kind of want them, didn't want it, and then some people would get it, and it was like, you know, a burden to have to do it, but then others were like really into it, and how they would get like kind of fancy clothes and shit out of it and stuff. Like, it was pretty wild. Like the payment and stuff, you know, like you'd have like a payment, and then sometimes you would get like the clothes of the people you killed. But you know, different time, you know. Yeah, couldn't go down to the Walmart and just buy a hoodie, you know.
Macquarie, like I knew Macquarie from Usual Suspects, and I knew he wrote the scene in X-Men with Magneto and everything. But he really wasn't on my map until he did an interview with Jeff Goldsmith concerning Valkyrie, which I had no interest in at the time. But it was like a 3-hour interview, and he just talked about what happened after Usual Suspects and Way of the Gun, which is one of the craziest fucking films I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And then what happened there, and you know, he spent all this time trying to get a John Wilkes Booth script off the ground, you know, and how like it's impossible. And he just like got really real about how shit gets made in Hollywood, you know, and it doesn't matter if you have an Oscar, it doesn't matter, blah blah blah. Like, he gets through all this, and it's just like, I'm like, you know what, man, like, I don't care if this guy makes shit like David Lynch. He makes shit I can't fucking stand. I will listen to this fucking dude speak for 7 hours, no matter where he goes. He just happened to go on to make some fucking cool shit since then. But I mean, that even that, like, and then all the disinformation campaigns like people put out about Cruise on the set of Valkyrie and shit that went down. Like it's shit I think you could relate to when you hear like they're like, oh, they were letting people throw trash around, throwing parties. Like nothing that happened. Like where did this come from? You know, like it's the weirdest fucking thing in the world. But
Yeah.
about John Wilkes Booth, you know, and he
Did
threw out
you
some John Wilkes Booth shit I never even fucking knew about. You know, it's crazy.
did you ever see the whitest kids sketch about John Wilkes Booth?
Which one?
The whitest kids they have a sketch, and John Wilkes Booth and his wife just go to the theater just to have a good night, and then Abraham Lincoln won't stop yelling at the screen, "You fucked up! You fucked up!" And he just keeps doing that, and then John Wilkes Booth, "Sir, can you please stop?" and it's all fucked. He just keeps going. He's like Abraham Lincoln's a little bit hood in it, and like yelling at the screen, and then then he gets shot. So it's pretty funny though. It's
I highly recommend the Jeff Goldsmith, Chris McQuarrie Valkyrie Q&A. Just listen to that because it's not just a Q&A on Valkyrie. It's fantastic. That whole thing is fantastic.
Yeah, me and Bestman were talking about looking at his other scripts, see what kind of things, because I kind of have
doesn't write scripts though in any kind. Like he used to, but he talks about now he doesn't do any of that. And Gilroy said something interesting in the interview I thought was parallel because McQuarrie has been saying recently, like on the last Light the Fuse podcast episode he was on, he's like, yeah, I don't really write scripts anymore. I see the locations first and then I kind of write based on where we're going to go. And, when you hear people go, how could you build sets if you don't have a script? You write the script. That's how you know what you got. He's like, that's one way to do it, but that's not how we do this. And Gilroy was saying the same thing, like about Andor and about even he almost slipped the new thing, the next season, right? Where he was like, yeah, like they give me places, I can see what we're going to do and then I can write around that kind of thing, versus, oh, I need like a bar. Well, what if we don't have a bar? I don't know. Like you got to see kind of, because everything has to be constructed in advance, given that it's Star Wars. You can't, you could shoot out in the Highlands. That's one idea, but you can't do that all the time, right? You can't just shoot like fake desert stuff.
But once again, like all of the stuff in the Highlands that they shot, beautiful, looked good. It could have been shot and looked more boring at Black Park. They could have just done it that way, but they did it this way, which is better. But it's like, but at the end of the day,
it makes a difference.
But what was sort of written is kind of like it does. Like it didn't really matter where they were for what was written on the page. What we saw was the other side, was the other dimension, and that's what I was wondering, because there's so many good little snapshotty moments of people. Just like what the security guy says to him about setting the tempo and all that kind of, like these little things that he has. I started to wonder if he had written some of this stuff in other scripts before, that it's stuff that was never made, and if he had cannibalized lots of little life moments and then brought them over and just kind of plopped them in, not to say he just plugged it in, but if he had written these lines before and these good little moments between characters, like when we have Karn and his mommy at the table, and he's been fired from his job and he was a ladder climber who failed, and like their conversation that they're going to have, that could have easily have been written on another script about French executioners. You know what I mean? And now he's going to become so that's where my mind kind of was. Are we seeing, because like everybody writes something in something that doesn't come out, or that doesn't come together, but like there was like a great moment, whether it's music or a script or anything, and then it gets reused. I was curious as to how much of that stuff, if anything at all, has been reused. That's one of the, if I ever get a chance to talk to him, it's one of the things I want to ask him, about that process or whatever, and how much of that stuff, because he said in that one interview, the best stuff he's ever written has never come out. But it was also sort of like the implication was somehow it was living on here, and this is the best stuff he's ever written now. And so I was kind of curious, was like, whoa, there was no follow-up question. Maybe the interviewer didn't think it was appropriate.
You listen to how he talks, you can understand how there isn't, though. He's full of energy when he speaks. Like he's for sure. He's moving fast.
So Roland says, I don't know if they're bold enough to bring Palpatine in. I don't I think Gilroy would do whatever. Actually, I think the bold choice is not to bring Palpatine in. Bringing Palpatine in is like, SpaghettiOs, here it is. Now we just bought ourselves at 10 from wherever we're in terms of stakes, but then it doesn't really feel earned and it doesn't feel right. But like I said, I think that if this being a slow burn kind of thing, I think it's going to continually be the snowball that keeps getting bigger and bigger. And we never
around the party. I came for the dip.
Yeah,
he's just in the background. He pitches your orders off your plate. Like he doesn't take from the food.
Mommy Mothma, I know I wasn't invited, but I go wherever he goes. We're best friends. And Anakin's a burn up little bitch with no dick. He can't fuck, but this guy fucks. He's got 2 horns and a big robe and a bald chick. And they're like, okay, Palpatine. Yeah, but
I just like to have fun.
but we
you just see that hood moving around in the background, like out of focus, like little Boca, you know.
So,
just
girls just want to have fun. But we didn't get Palpatine in Rogue One, right? And it would be it would feel like to me like the stone is skipping too much. If we go and we get like Palpatine in the Andor series before we get to the culmination, and then we go to the part where the big culmination is Krennic to Tarkin to Vader, I feel like they shouldn't do it personally. But can they? They certainly can. But I think it's the project design layout I'm looking at based off of the early parts of the show so far doesn't tell me that.
I want to be honest,
but
like I have many a gripe about episode 3. The thing that I got into it, the buddy at the time, I was like, look, once he gives that fucking speech, no one should see the fucking Emperor again until that Death Star scene. Like,
yeah,
and Jedi, like, and even because I'm like, the fact that he's on that Star Destroyer standing with like Vader looking at the construction, I'm like, he ain't gonna be standing there looking at that shit, you know? Like, he's not that dude. He's the guy who runs, and he's now secluded himself away, you know? Like, he's the fucking mythic ghost, and just standing there.
George had a lot of competing ideas about that, like in the original Star Wars novelization and some of the early scripts. When it talks about the Emperor, it's like he's this person, consolidated power, locked himself away, nobody saw him again, and then bureaucrats ran wild, and it made chaos like throughout the galaxy. And I think a part of that is still true. And then there's this implication by Lucas during the Clone Wars materials where you have Dooku and him, and they're kind of like doing like evil witch stuff, like over the cauldron, doing black magic and bringing the dark side down on the galaxy and stuff. And you kind of get that impression that that's what he's doing. He's fucking around with like dark arts and not really running the galaxy day to day anymore. He's just letting the monsters run wild because that's what he wants. He's Satan. You know what I mean? He wants hell in the galaxy. He wants everything that's bad makes that guy delighted. So
he just holograms his thumbs up or down now. You know what I mean? That's all you see is the thumbs down.
Yeah. Well, and then there's like other stuff too, though, like in Rebels and stuff, where you see like Palpatine as Senator Palpatine in a hologram being presented as if he's normal. He's almost like doing the he's got on Avatar or what's that VR chat, and he has his avatar of himself, and he's like, look, I'm okay, everybody, ha ha ha, I'm not deformed anymore. And then so I'm not sure exactly how they go about it in this and what Gilroy would like want to do. And I don't think they're too afraid to touch the sequel stuff. I just think that they probably are going to want to know where they're going with the sequel stuff before they start touching it. And I think once they start going somewhere with the sequel stuff, they'll be able to work backwards with it. You know, they're learning obvious lessons. Like I understand where they're coming from naming Cassian's birth planet in a book, because it really didn't seem like there was going to be anything else. Now they should know there's always going to be something else. if something is successful, something else will come of it. Don't, the other big mistake is probably having K2SO's backstory in that comic book. And,
Right.
and I understand why they did it when they did it. Like, well, the comics don't matter. Tell us how they met, because that's not in the show. You're never going to do that. And then now they're doing that. So, is what it is, I guess. Arya says, Jason, did you hear about the scene where Vader walks up to Andor, but Reva comes from behind and screams before striking him? Oh, no. To stay out, Darth Vader. You don't belong here. They rescued Jin from Wobani, which is also kombucha. Oh, yeah. Everybody earlier was like, Fest, it's Fest. Phoenix, Ferrix, Edu. Yeah, you guys know. I've always had a problem remembering the name Edu. I don't know why. It just does not stick in my brain. It's not a planet that, you asked me about Malastare in a relevant place I've never even seen, probably.
Edu,
tell you Malastare, but Edu just doesn't click for me. Roland says there's 2 Harry Potter alums in the show, and so far Ma'arva's acting hasn't lost a beat. I think it's funny that she's Andor's mom, and the lady who played the neighbor is Cyril's mom. Yeah. I imagine there's probably going to be more too. God, when they're, I need to know who the blonde lady is. Who's the blonde lady when Cyril
Lady
Karn
Gaga
goes in though, and like he talks to the 3 people at the computers, and he's like telling them like, get your ass in here. We need to find this. So he's like giving the orders. That lady, I've seen her in something. I can't place her. I can't place her where I know her from. So, Dale says, did I miss the Masamita Slymore combo announcement? Was there anyone else we're laying odds on? Well, yeah, she in the 4th episode, he actually says Slymore is coming to dinner, and then he names Mas Ameda's title. Doesn't say him by name, but says his title. So yeah, so they do announce it in the show, pretty much. And then I came a bit late too. That's what she said. Roland says, as much as I can be, had to go for a minute once the stream started, so I missed the first few minutes. That's all. Oh, okay. But the only reason I could see as to why they wouldn't invite Belle is because Mon says she's been watched everywhere, meaning Belle probably is too, since they're both kind of in it together. That's what people keep saying, like they think Bail Organa might be the person who she wants to bring in. But
I thought he
think
was there at the beginning though.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is it's going to? I think it would literally mean like she would go to bring him in, and then he'd be like, "I'm the one who's been helping the partisan front," and they'd be like, "Oh, it's you!" Oh, you know what I mean? Like that's what it would end up being, like I'm already in it kind of thing, and that's how it have to go. Because I mean, at this point, Princess Leia is over 14, and I think we have stuff with him and her doing stuff at Leia at being 14, where she's like not really supposed to be involved, but she is. So yeah, but most likely that would kind of be where that goes, I would guess. But that's why I don't know who it is. But it is a good guess that it would be TV's Jimmy Smits, right? Chuckbuck says, is this how they're going to bring in Grand Vizor Mas Amida? Yeah, I think so. And you think he's going to have that fucking tongue from the cutscene? Think she's going to, like, at dinner and be like, blah, 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 and then he's going to be like, can we order? Can we order? Is that what he says when the waiter doesn't come fast enough? Dell says the guest list is on the table, and she reads those 2 in particular. We don't know who else is in the other 6 to 8 settings. Yeah.
I wish it was all just puppets. Like it felt fucking just bring those ones in. Just roll in the Star Wars puppets.
I'm Senator Scissor Punch. is there, you know?
The Nope Muppets show up. It's like, these fucking guys, dude, they're fun. They're fun,
Yeah.
Mothma.
Yeah,
Nope,
they're
nope,
fun.
nope, nope.
Come
They
on.
don't even think they're fun. They don't even
You're such a
think they're
bitch sometimes. You're such a bitch sometimes.
fun. Nope.
Oh,
nope,
shit.
Yep, yep, yep. And then they go behind him. Yep, 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 yep. And she's like, stop encouraging them.
Yeah. Johanna says, shouldn't Palpatine be at the Senate meetings, or does Masameda just represent him there? That's kind of what's been painted in a lot of the like literature, is that he doesn't go to those things that dude does. That dude's just a big piece of shit. So Roland says, I feel like
on his list is free breadsticks night at the Olive Garden.
Ooh, that sounds
He
good.
wouldn't give that one up until one BBUI. Then, you know, they had to do takeout. Take out Olive Garden. It's fine. It's not the same.
Jokebox says, Sheev doesn't do the Senate. He is the Senate. Yeah, that makes sense. Roland says, I think that we'll see Palpatine in the show, at least not season 1. I don't think we'll see Palpatine in the show, at least not in season 1. Yeah, I don't think they should do it at all. I don't think it. I think it gets to Vader levels because of the way that A New Hope is set up. I think that's kind of like how that crescendo needs to move. But we'll see. We'll see what they do. So sometimes they will just do it. Like I don't think like I said, he wasn't originally in the Kenobi series, and then they added that in during the reshoots and put that in. And I don't think they should have done that either. Personally, I would rather it not have been there. But outside the 9, this is channel's Awesome Guys Rock. Thank you, and thanks for coming and hang out with us. Come hang out with us again. As the truth says,
shows. See if it changes.
Oh yeah,
change your mind.
we'll get on your nerves.
By Tuesday, you're like, fucking these fucking guys. These fucking guys.
As the truth says, all the Brit Andor actors have familiar faces to me. A lot of them have been on children's BBC shows and other shows. What do you mean by children's big black cock shows? I don't think we should talk about it like that. That's true.
Banana
I don't think that's
Man
appropriate.
to you, bud.
I don't think that's appropriate.
Banana Man to you, doll.
Yeah. But all right. Well, I think we're gonna call this one a Friday show. The way Mon and her husband were talking gives me slight Game of Thrones politics vibes. Oh, big time. But let's play it out with the song one more time, and then Rob will say goodnight. Say goodnight, Rob.
Good night, Rob.
Yeah, I knew you could do it.
Mon Mothma. Guess who's coming to dinner tonight? Mon Mothma. Guess who's coming to dinner tonight? It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
You know you should go.
Come on, let's go.
It's not about spaceships.